I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Anthony Darvall for an interview today. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. What about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Can we start this with you telling us a little bit about you?
Of course. So I'm an actor based in Sydney, Australia, British Australian. I've always felt that I tended to identify more with England than Australia, possibly because of the amount of British sitcoms I was forced to watch growing up. Um, I've been acting now for I don't know, it seems like forever and ever. Graduated from drama school 3 years, a number of years ago, and then started working in theatre a lot, and then transitioned over into film, and eventually made my way into verticals. So I'm sort of all over the place, really, in terms of acting anywhere that I can find some interesting work.
That's good. That's good. So I did a little bit of background check as I do before these interviews. So you've worked across, like, as you said, short films, features, and theatre. Which format allows you the most creative freedom?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know whether it's the format that allows the creative freedom so much as the team. If you're talking purely about the level of control you have over your own performance, then it would definitely be theatre. And plenty of other actors have said this, other than myself. Denzel Washington was famously quoted recently about this, but uh, the theatre is the only mode of performance where an actor doesn't have someone else dictating their performance before it reaches the audience. So it's immediate. The audience sits there and the actors deliver the performance, whereas everything else has an editor, whether it's voiceover or anything to do with something that's been filmed. So I guess in a sense that way, but even so, you have some theatre shows where the director is very precise on where they want you to stand, how they want you to deliver things, and other things where you're given complete and total control within reason. And it's the same thing with film and TV. So um, yeah, I guess theatre with that sort of caveat there as well.
Is there anything in theatre? Did you go to theatre school as well?
Yeah, I went to a drama school. The
Yeah.
primary sort of performances that we delivered there and worked on with theatre, except for the third year, we got a sort of split between film and TV.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything in drama school? Um, Sorry, was there something in drama that drama school didn't teach you that you needed on set?
Um, Quite a lot, actually. And I think it's mostly because we spend so much more time on theatre work than we did on film. And I think that even if you're in a class environment and you're working specifically on screen work, there's just a lot of things that you can only experience when you're actually on set. For example, uh, uh, recently we were doing a vertical where the entire script takes place over one continuous sort of bit of storyline. And so something that drama school doesn't really prepare you for is, you've got an extremely tight time frame in which to film something that is incredibly lengthy and dialogue heavy, and you may not necessarily have the time to, even though it's your coverage, to go through the entire scene and have your reactions and build the performance throughout the scene. You're just sort of expected to go, okay, we're going to do this little section here, and you've got to go and you've got to deliver it. Um, so lots of things, but that sort of pressure and time crunch, I think, is yeah, probably the main thing.
And that would be more so in verticals than like a feature film or a short film.
Yeah, definitely. So I wrapped a feature film a couple of months ago that I've been working on since February, and I had just done back-to-back verticals and then went on to my first block of filming for the feature, and it was such a trip because we had a whole week with this one set, and we were doing a certain section of the film, and we had time to just play around and try things. And the director was like, "Oh, actually, that's an interesting angle. I'm going to go here and I'm going to try something." And Anthony, maybe for this take, just go off in this direction and see what happens. And yeah, because of the time crunch, there isn't necessarily that level of freedom that you get on a feature film.
Completely different dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. It's good work. It's challenging in a
Yeah.
different way, and you get to meet lots of cool people. So I'm definitely not sort of um, you know looking down on
Oh,
verticals.
no.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How do you readjust your performance style when moving between theatre and film?
Um, do you, sorry, do you mean sort of technically, as in terms of the difference between being on stage versus a set, or do you mean like my sort of creative process building a character?
Let's go with both because I like the sound of both of those.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go technically first. There's purely just because of the format. There's a lot of different things. In film, you have to be very aware of where the camera is and sort of uh, play to that. There'll be sort of things that you'll do that won't make any sense at all while you're filming them, and they may feel very weird, but they actually look really good on camera, especially for verticals, which is fun because the frame is so narrow. You might have scenes where you're doing a scene and you have to be completely serious and whatnot, but you're this close to each other, and so uh, that's interesting. Whereas in theatre, you don't have that sort of change in dynamic. The audience is, for the most part, at one fixed position. I've done theatre where you've got the audience in three different places and all around you, and you have to adjust your performance style to that. But it's uh, you have to be very aware of depth and precision. So there's just a different level of awareness for each of those, and then sort of modulating your performance across the different mediums. You've got to make sure the people in the back rows, they also paid for their ticket, right? So you don't want to be delivering a film performance which can be very nuanced, and you don't have to do a lot with your face, but it can just always sit there in the eyes. The audience in the back row will fall asleep, and that's never a good sign. So you have to make sure the performance hits there. Whereas you don't have to have that in film. Some of the best film actors, a lot of their performances will barely rise above a whisper, and sometimes you may not even be able to hear them, but it comes across brilliantly on the screen. And so there's a lot of technical considerations there. But then in terms of character, a lot of the time you don't have the same amount of time,
Mm.
specifically in rehearsal, to sort of discover things on film that you do in theatre. So a lot of the plays that I've done, you have 3 months to rehearse, to go away and think about your performance and explore and research things and come back and try different things. Whereas film, especially for verticals, you're given the script, and sometimes you might not receive your lines until you're right there on set, and you have to be ready to go with the best performance that you can.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot about not getting a script until very, very close to the day. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that there are some people who've been lucky to get them 3 or 4 days prior.
Mm.
But I guess it all depends. But I mean, a lot of these vertical actors like yourself, they're really on it. I mean, I I had a discussion, I can't remember who it was, but um, I was like, if you throw like, what they call A-grade actors, like, Morgan Freeman or things like that, Denzel Washington, like you said before, if you threw them into a vertical, I think they'd be thrown back, personally.
Mm. I possibly. I
I
feel
reckon
like,
they could
yeah,
adapt, but
yeah. I think the speed of it can throw a lot of people. But I think it's something that you get used to. I don't. I think with a lot of these big feature films, you do get a level of preparation that you don't necessarily get with verticals. But there's a good example of who was it? It was Alan Cumming recently. He was talking about the new Avengers film, and he was brought back for his character from the X-Men things, and he was talking about how he was sort of thrust onto a green screen, given his lines. He didn't know who he was talking to or what he was saying. So sometimes, especially nowadays, there is a level of similarity between those big productions and the vertical world.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So it's even better training ground.
Yes. Okay. Among your theatre roles, which one challenged you the most as an actor?
Um, hmm. There was a lot. I think I would have to say Hamlet, when I did it in drama school, would probably be the the biggest challenge. Yeah, it was sort of I was how old was I? I was 20. I was 20 when I did it, so I was very young. Um, and Hamlet's meant to be in his mid-30s, university student, well educated, son of the king, dealing with everything that's happened. And it was a big ask, but luckily I had a lot of brilliant teachers and just time. I had 2 months and I was at drama school, and that's all we were focusing on. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was I guess a real luxury to have the people there who were so invested in me doing well that I was really given the space to work on it as hard as I could.
That's good. That's good. The one thing I love about film that I don't love about theatre, but I love theatre, is the fact that you can't go back and rewatch the performance.
Yeah,
Well, you can if
yeah,
you pay for
yeah.
it, but like sometimes it finishes and I'm like, oh, I want to watch it again, but I can't. Yeah.
And I guess I do love the that sort of ephemeral kind of beauty of theater that it can only exist in the moment.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, even if you watch a recording of it, it's not the same as just being there in the room and watching, when the actors are really, really on it
Yeah.
and they're having an amazing night and everything clicks. Um, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've watched a lot, or not a lot, but a few theatre shows, and there's also a difference as to where you're sitting, as to what experience
yes.
you get.
Yeah, especially if they've got, blood effects or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember my one of my fight choreographer teachers in drama school, Kyle Rowling, talking about a production of Titus Andronicus, the Shakespeare play, and how violent that was. They had a sort of splash zone for the first 3 rows. If you sat there, you were going to end up covered in blood. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
That would have been an experience.
oh, definitely.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to direct or produce your own project, what would your first venture be and why?
Um, oh, could you give me a format, something to narrow it down? Otherwise, I'll just
Well, since we're mostly about verticals, let's go with a vertical format.
okay. Something that I would like to do more of is classical literature, adapted for verticals. So obviously, Real Short, was it last year or this year? I think it was this year. They did Pride and Prejudice, and I'd love to revisit one of the roles I did on stage. Dangerous Liaisons or Wuthering Heights, in a vertical format. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. How do you stay creatively inspired when you're not actively filming?
I think that's one of my sort of personal flaws. My um, when I was younger and living at home, my mum would sometimes sort of have a go at me and be like, "Just go and do some theater or something. You're driving me crazy." 'Cause I can get very obsessive about a role, especially if it's something that I really connect with. And if I don't have that, my brain just sort of inverts and starts to eat itself. But I I'm obsessed with stories and storytelling. I have been ever since I was a little kid. So I think that's where I draw a lot of my inspiration from. Um, you know, sometimes I'll be feeling, down or sort of depressed about my sort of perception of where I'm at, and I can just put on, uh, a brilliant movie or even a video essay about the making of or the analysis of a performance or making of a film, and that will just sort of top me right back up. I just watched a video earlier today, looking at the skill of Daniel Day-Lewis with his performance in Gangs of New York, and um, it covered, his monologue when he's covered in the American flag, and his performance with the knife, and his work that he did, the fact that he had a fake glass eye um, contact lens, and he taught himself to not be able to blink so that he could tap his real knife on the glass eye contact, and um,
Wow.
seeing things like that just um, yeah, give me a sort of level of uh, energy that I can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a bit freaky, tapping your eye with an but
He's
that's cool, very
Yeah,
cool.
the level of commitment. I think him and Tom Cruise are sort of both up there in terms of their level of commitment. Another eye thing is, if you watched Mission Impossible 2, is the yeah, the scene I'm about to talk about, where
Anthony, yeah, yeah.
they've got the knife fight, and he that really happened. There was no camera tricks, that
Hmm.
DeGrace got to launch himself onto Tom Cruise. Um, yeah, absolutely insane.
Brave. Brave would be crazy, brave, kind of a mix there. All right. Um, when preparing for roles, what's something that helps you step into character?
Oh, preparing for roles, stepping into the character. It can be a lot of things. I generally like to work on the character's backstory. I find developing that brings a lot of inspiration for me, and then figuring out the moments in a person's life that shaped who they were and the decisions that they're making when they're in the script. Um, yeah, thinking about that, and then if I need to, bringing that up and carrying that with me as I'm walking into the scene, um, is something that is usually pretty reliable for me in terms of anchoring the performance.
How do you handle that when you don't have the script already? Like when, like you said before, you step on set and you get your lines.
Um,
How do you manage that?
Sometimes you just have to do it.
Yep, you just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone else has shown up, and they've got their camera gear and the lighting, and someone else is blocking off traffic, and the sound guy's been standing there holding the boom for 8 hours already. So in terms of just respect for the other crew members, sometimes you just have to kind of um, I don't want to say divorce your sort of artistic integrity, but just sort of put it to the side and go, this is what I got to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.